All right. Special segment that I originally intended for last week. I wanted to kind of give a basis for my film. I just like what I love about film. Just want to give a little basis for people to look at and be like, oh, okay, so this is like what this guy's vibe is, right? So, what easier way to do that than just simply giving you my top 10 list? Now, I made this really quickly. Um, I've looked over it several times. Feel pretty happy with it. Like there hasn't been anything that's kind of came up to be like, oh fuck, man, like I gotta put that in there. What do I have to eliminate? Nothing like that has came up yet, so I'm excited. But yeah, as it stands right now, because I usually like to make a top 10 list like every couple of years just to kind of get an idea of where my head's at, and this is what I came up with. We're gonna start with an honorable mention with the Shawshank Redemption, directed by Frank Darabont. This was one of the first movies I ever watched where I was like, this is a perfect movie. This movie is better than anything that I've probably seen up to this point. There's not a single thing that I could change about it. From the directing, the writing, the acting, just all of it was top notch. The storytelling, great. Um, I don't watch it as much in my life now, and it doesn't, I guess, hold that much of a spec because it was one of the last ones that I thought of. Like I came up with my whole top 10 list, and I was like, "Fuck, I forgot Shawshank," and um, yeah, so I have to put it there though because that is like one of the one. Like I would not be the movie fan I am today if I didn't see Shawshank when I did. So it's going to be just outside the top 10, but right there. Probably, literally, probably 11. And it probably could slide into 10 if I rewatched it. So, but at number 10, we've got our first superhero movie of the list. So we're going to start off with a superhero movie. It will not be the last one on the list. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I love this movie. I think this movie is damn near perfect. I think it's like the perfect superhero film, perfect Spider-Man film. I remember it came out and it was one that I wasn't particularly excited for. I was like, why are we putting Miles Morales in animation? Why is it like I felt like animation was a like at the time when it came out, I was ignorant and I felt like animation was a step behind live action. And these movies single-handedly changed my perception of that. Seeing Into the Spider-Verse changed my perception on animation and what it can do and how it can tell a story. And I just think it is so touching. I think it came out at a time when I really, really needed it. And for that reason, it's at number 10. Number 9, gonna switch it up on you a little bit. Probably the only quote unquote comedy. Well, this is a comedy, but like others could maybe be considered a comedy. This is the only bona fide comedy on this list. That's number 9, Step Brothers. Um, Step Brothers was very, very, I guess, influential on my younger life. I watched that movie probably every day for like a month. Honestly, like there was times where I was falling asleep to that movie. I was I was watching it when I got home. I was just playing it in the background when I was doing stuff. Like I had that movie on all the fucking time when I was like 14, 15. Love that movie. It's one of the most quotable movies in the world. My favorite one being, I'll give you one little taste. This house is a fucking fuck. I already fucked it up. Not doing it anymore. House is a fucking prison on planet bullshit in the galaxy of this sucks camel dick. Love that line. Love that line every time. It makes me laugh. Number 8, gonna just completely. We are going in one lane, freaking skirting to another, and then skirting to another. Because at number 8 we have our first horror selection with Hereditary. When Hereditary came out, it was the scariest movie I had ever seen. It may still be. The feeling of dread and the feeling of just hopelessness and and loss and grief that Hereditary gives, and just the overall unease is incomparable to any other movie I've seen, I think. And it was one of the first horror movies I watched where I was like, oh, you can make them like this? You can make them feel and look like this, and they can be this good? So, love Hereditary. Very influential in my life. Maybe that's not the right word. I guess just very important to me and why I like horror and like what I look for in horror. Number 7, gonna do our second comic book film of the list, and that is Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's classic film. This is my superhero. Wow, hold on. I've really not had a great episode. I've been stumbling, talking over myself, coughing. It's been a rough one, but I appreciate you sticking around. Number 7, Man of Steel. It is the Superman movie for me. I love this movie. I don't know what it is. I feel that its emotional beats hit pretty well. I feel like the issues that people have with it are nitpicky and dumb, and I don't like them. I think it's a movie that can both, like, yes, it is at some point just action figures clashing against each other, but I feel like it's epic. I feel like it's tense. I feel like even still, somehow, knowing that this man is representing humanity gives some ounce of hope. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. And yeah, I don't know. It's a movie that every time I watch it, I think I like it a little bit more. I'm so serious, and that'd be what it'd be. Number 6, going a little bit kind of action, like an action film, and that's Ben Affleck's The Town. When I watched this movie for the first time, I watched it 3 times that week. The first time was with my dad, because it's one that he likes, so he showed it to me. I loved it. I love Ben Affleck, first off. A big Ben Affleck fan. For some reason. I don't know why, but I've loved Ben Affleck forever. A lot of it had to do with his Batman. I was a fan of his Batman. Though I didn't like how his Batman was written, I liked him as the character, and I will stand by that forever. But it's a freaking tense movie. It's an intense movie, and it's a movie where you don't want to root for him. You don't, because what he's doing is fucked. The whole manipulation of Rebecca Hall's character is fucked up. It's not good. He's not a good guy. But his charm, her charm, their chemistry, you want it to work out for everybody in the end, you know? And it's an excellent just crime thriller, heist film. It really kicks ass, honestly. And then it came on TV. I watched it all. I think it was somewhere in the middle, and I just watched it all the way to the end. And then I went over to my buddy's house the next day, and I was like, "Hey, we gotta fucking watch this movie. This movie rules. You'll love it." And he did. It's a great movie, man. It's so good. If you haven't seen The Town, do yourself a fucking favor and watch The Town. It's so good. Number 5, we have John Carpenter's Halloween. This is probably. I'm trying to look at the list. No, it's not the most recent inclusion to my top 10. It's been the last 3 years or so where I've kind of really delved into being obsessed with the Halloween franchise as a whole, but specifically this movie too. Man, it's so timeless. I don't know. It's such a comfort film for me. I watch it every year on Halloween, every year randomly in the middle of the year. All the time, just whenever the fuck I want. I watch this movie so much. I love Halloween. It's so fun. It's such a good film. The way that the shadows work, the way that he lurks and just kind of looms, and he's always present without even being there. I don't know. I love John Carpenter's Halloween. There isn't much I can say about it that people haven't already. Just it's one of those where if you understand classic horror filmmaking, and you understand what still works today, and not look down on just the limitations of the past, this is a great movie to watch. Number 4, we're gonna jump back to some comic book movies. It's not the last one. It's not the last one. We have a comic book movie in the top 3, would you believe it? But before we get there, gotta handle number 4, which is Spider-Man 2. Second Spider-Man movie of the list. I grew up loving Spider-Man, and a lot of it had to do with this movie. I remember Spider-Man 3 coming out when I was like 6 years old, but before that, the movie that I watched the fucking most was probably Spider-Man 2. And obviously the first one too, but Spider-Man 2 was just cooler for some reason. Something about it was always cooler to me. And it still holds up. It still holds up like so much, man. It's one of the best superhero stories to ever be told in cinema. I just think Toby does a great job in this, like his performance specifically in this one is probably his best. I think everyone's performance like is turned up a notch for this film. James Franco kind of sadly always sucks across the series, but that is what it is. And yeah, I mean, it's Spider-Man 2. Like, what do you mean? It's fucking Spider-Man 2. It is the blueprint, I would say, for like superhero movies, especially superhero sequels, like in ways to continue the story and change it in ways that's interesting and elevates the character. I just think I love Spider-Man 2, man. But a recent superhero film that has came out for I say recent pretty liberally there, but for the other hero that I've been obsessed with for most of my life, that being Matt Reeves' The Batman. I knew immediately after watching this film that this film was like everything I wanted it to be, and more than what I could have imagined it to be. It's perfect. It is the perfect Batman movie, I think. I think I'm just gonna say that, like, because my take when I first got out of the movie, like, I think the take that I told my dad is, if you would have went into my brain and subconsciously read everything that I want and everything that I need in a Batman movie and somehow put that all together into an actual feature and displayed that to me, I'm not confident it would be as good as what this movie was. Movie's so fucking good, dude. I finally got my girlfriend to watch it, and when we rewatched that, dude, oh my god. The sets, the lighting, the cinematography, Pattinson's performance, fuck, everyone's performance, Jeffrey Wright's performance, again, Kravitz's performance, all of them kill it. Colin Farrell's performance, oh my god, Colin Farrell, I need to watch The Penguin so bad. But the Batman's just so good. I love it. I know that I'm not giving like a ton of actual analysis of these films, but fuck it, it's my list. I'm just telling you, these are just movies that overall I love. I don't need to analyze these movies sometimes to just know that I just love them when they're on, you know. Number 2, one of the movies that really highlights probably what I love about film, or it's just a lot of what it's good at are things that I love about film. And that being La La Land at number 2. First and only musical on this list. Not the biggest musical guy. And that's not because I don't like them. I've just not watched enough of them. There's been ones that I've watched and then enjoyed. And the reason that I guess I allowed my mind, like, because this came out at a time where I was like, oh, nah, musicals are probably stupid. I don't want to watch a musical. And then La La Land came out, and I was like, nah, these are art. These are fucking art. Like, these are so good. Chazelle is so great at just, like, directing a narrative, and his use of colors and the choreography between all the dancers and the way that it's all shot is just so captivating and tells such a somber story about going after your dreams and being someone. If you're anyone who's into art in any way, it's a movie you must see, especially if you're wanting to elevate that into a career somehow and really follow that dream. It's a movie that I think every creative should watch. But number one, and I think this is probably going to cause maybe some controversy. It might be not the most, maybe PC isn't the right word, but it's a film that I'm sure has garnered some backlash. But fucking Forrest Gump, man, that is probably the movie I have watched the most. The most, actually. I went like months watching that to bed. It would play over and over again. Similarly to how Step Brothers was. This was around that same time where I just started like just watching and getting into movies and obsessing over them. This is one I obsessed over to no end. And I don't know why. It's just a vibe sort of thing. It might be the way that Zemeckis makes his films, because I do like Back to the Future too, as well. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. It's a film that every time I watch it, it brings such comfort over to me. It's another one that I could probably damn near quote from beginning to end, and it just stands the test of time. It's like, it's funny how that and Shawshank came out in the same year, but for a while those two were my top two, because those were like the ones that at the time when I started getting into movies and really falling in love with just cinema and just the art style itself. Those two were so prevalent, and those two were so pinnacle at that time that I have to include them. And I wasn't sure if I was going to put Forrest Gump at one, but I think it just makes the most sense. Like, it is probably one of the most important films in my life, right? So, yeah, that is my top 10 list. I hope that you were able to gain some sort of insight from that.